and welcome to Coaching 101, a space for growth, accountability, and transformation, where insight meets action and people learn to move forward with purpose. Well, this is our first episode, Miss Jackie together, and welcome to Coaching 101, one of my podcasts ending with 101. So I'm Daniel Lucas. I'm a host of many podcasts with 101, a book 101, food 101, a movie 101, coaching 101, name them all, and I have all those 101. And of course, my legendary co-host, Miss Jackie Pellegrin.
Thank you, Daniel. I am so glad that you asked me to come be with you on this podcast too. So, second one now. So, I love it. Thank
Yes,
you.
we're thriving, Miss Jackie and I, thriving in podcasting.
Yes.
Definitely we're thriving. And can you please introduce more about yourself, Miss Jackie, before we continue our discussion?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So, I've been working in higher education and as an instructional designer almost 20 years now. So, I do a lot of curriculum work in what I do in higher education, and I enjoy it. I get to collaborate with faculty and with leadership at one of the colleges with Grand Canyon University, and then I also teach for them part time. And then out of all of that, I still find time to be a podcast host and be a guest on podcasts and now co-hosting. So in the midst of all that, I'm trying to finish up my book, but it seems to be kind of taking a backseat right now. So I'm like, I got to get to that. So, and I've been doing some consulting actually, and keeping myself busy with that. So I'm like, where do I find hours in the day? It's kind of like where where do you find hours in the day? But I love it because I think it's building a legacy and I'm helping others. So it's not inwardly about me. It's about mentoring others and helping them to be able to take their next step in life, whether they're a career changer or something like that. I mentor my coworkers all the time and help them, and I also help my students too and teach them. So it's great. I love that. So I think I can see why you asked me to help you co-host this one because I have that mentorship and that consulting background and things like that. And I help create curriculum for counseling and social work too. So I'm in the weeds of that every day, even though I don't have that background and I don't have that education, right? Like our subject matter experts do and the faculty do, but I'm always asking questions and always getting that. So I've learned quite a bit over 12 years about the difference between coaching, consulting, counseling and therapy and things like that. So it's very interesting to learn that over the last 12 years and really hone my craft. So it's exciting.
Yes, to hone your craft as a coach. So today, let's talk about the foundation of coaching, people. So, Miss Jackie, what is coaching and what is not?
Yes. So when I think of coaching, I think of that as a collaborative process where you're helping someone clarify what they want. So whether that's something where they want to change careers or they want to better their career or something like that, you're kind of what you're doing is you're asking them key questions like what's standing in the way, right, of you getting to that dream career that you want. And then you help them to come up with a plan, and you align those goals. You help them come up with goals and plan, and then you help them get towards that. So you're just basically guiding them along the way. And you don't, as a coach, you don't take over their life or anything like that. You're more guiding them and giving them that those steps that they need to take, and then just being there to coach them along the way. So that's what I think of when I think of a coach.
Definitely. And people, coaching is not a therapy, counseling, or clinical treatment. It does not diagnose mental health conditions or resolve trauma or focus on healing the past. It's also not consulting or mentoring, where expert tells you exactly what not to do based on their own experience. Nor is the coaching is a motivational speaking alone, while inspiration may be part of the process. Coaching requires a consistent action, reflection, and measurable outcomes. So, in short, coaching is about empowering people to move forward with clarity and intention, not fixing, rescuing, or directing their lives for them.
Right.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
That's coaching, people. Coaching. So, people, I'm inviting you to call me or email me if you want to have a podcast. I'm telling now to all the people listening, I'm a good for being a podcast host as a coach or podcast coach. What do you call it? Podcast coach.
There you go. I think I've become that too in a way. Yeah,
Yeah, me
I've
and
worked with some people. Yeah, exactly. I've actually met with people, Daniel, through Podmatch. Like they'll reach out to me, like, "How do you go about doing this and that and the other?" And
Mhm,
so I've met with some individuals on Podmatch that feel uh, like they're stuck somewhere, right? And they don't
mhm.
know how to move forward or they don't feel like they're organized as well. So I've met with a few people on Podmatch and they're like, "How much do you charge?" And I'm like, "You're on Podmatch, you're part of the community. I won't charge you for it. But if it's additional, it's almost like I'm offering them like a
A coaching.
complimentary,
Yes.
yeah, complimentary type of thing. So yeah, so I've met with some people before and just given them some tips and then they're like, "You should write a course on that." And I'm like, maybe I should.
True. Yes.
Yeah, so it gave me some ideas and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, yeah, that's good." So, again,
Why
another
not?
thing down the road that I'm like, "Oh,
Mhm.
another idea, Jackie, one at a time, please."
Yes,
Like
one at a time. Baby steps, baby
Yes,
steps. So, Miss
exactly.
Jackie, the coach client relationships. It's
Mhm.
about trust, boundaries, and ethics. What is all
Yes.
about?
Yes, I think what's important is that it's good to know what a coach is able, like you mentioned, coaches are certain things, like I mentioned, and they're not things. So knowing what your boundaries are as a coach, I think is so important, and knowing if the client needs more than what you're able to offer. I think it's good to even ask them in the beginning, like, what is it that you're looking for? What are you looking to get out of coaching? Because sometimes they may not know exactly what the difference is, right? And they may think
Yes.
I want coaching, but in actuality, as you ask the questions and you start to uncover a little bit more, and as they say, peel back the onion, you start to find out that maybe what they're doing is they're avoiding going to counseling or therapy or something like that. And so, yeah, it's good. It's always good to do that because or I almost said a coach. Yeah, a coach. I thought I almost got it mixed up. But a coach, they wouldn't want to get too deep into it and then find out that they've actually crossed some boundaries. So yeah, so I think boundary crossing is good. Knowing what their scope of practice is, because as I mentioned, I've created curriculum for Grand Canyon, and we have underneath the psychology realm, they have a coaching emphasis. So, and then they have an industrial and organizational psychology emphasis and all of that. But then we also have our counseling programs and social work and all of that. So I always let them know in the curriculum we have to be very clear with the coaching one because it doesn't lead to licensure or certification or anything. And so students need to be well aware of that if they're going to get that degree, that it may not always lead to that licensure. Now they do have ones that lead towards that, but yeah, so it's very important to know, as a coach, if you're doing that as a profession, that what it takes to do that, and make sure that you're prepared so you're not leading clients down the wrong path.
Yes, definitely. And
Mhm.
people trust boundaries and ethics. Ethics
Yes.
guide every aspect of coaching process. Yes, an ethical coach acts in client's best interest, avoids conflicts of interest, maintain confidentiality, and operates with a level of competence. This includes, let's say, referring to clients to other professionals when issues fall outside the scope of coaching. Together, trust, boundaries, and ethics create a professional partnership that supports growth, accountability, and sustainable change while honoring and dignity and autonomy of the client. Yes, so
Yes.
coaching people, coaching is something that we will adhere in our everyday life. If you need a coach, please do so. If you need help, please ask for help.
Right.
Right, Miss Jackie?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right. Yeah, it's so important to have that distinction. So I think people want to put everything in an umbrella and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and they can misunderstand it. So yeah. It's kind of like, this little example that came up when I was asking ChatGPT. I use the 5.2 thinking, and it's really good. It's gotten a lot better, but
Mm-hmm.
it gave me a little mini example. So, say a client says, "Tell me what to do," which happens quite a bit. I hear that a lot from those that I work with at the college that have a private practice, that either coach or do consulting and things like that. And the client will say, "Tell me what to do." So, a coach, instead of wanting to give therapy, right, and say, "Okay, here's what we can do," the coach responds, "I can help you find the best path, but what outcomes matter most to you, and what options are you considering?" So you leave it open, and you don't take over, right, and you're
Mm-hmm.
not there to uh yeah. So yeah, so one of the pitfalls, I think, is we don't want coaching becoming friendly advice or rescuing people. That's where you start to get into those danger zones. So making sure that you don't get too far as a coach in those danger zones, I think, is where it can get a little bit dicey, and you definitely don't want to have a client end up making a complaint and then something happens, and ooh, that would be that, because they can file it with the state board and everything, and that can be scary, and especially if a coach has a license, they could lose their license. So it's
Mm-hmm.
so it's very important, like you mentioned, that scope of practice is a big thing. So make sure,
Yes.
yep, if it's outside of your scope, if it becomes more therapy and it becomes more consulting, then just know you can refer out. So don't feel like you have to take it on as a coach if you don't have that training to do it and that
Mm-hmm.
license to do it. Yep.
Mm-hmm. In the 21st century, people, we are advocating AI. AI, it's an aid that helps you to be better, to be the best. It's a guidance that help you your idea to nurture more, to curve more in a better results. And do you think, Miss Jackie, that sooner or later coaching will be abolished because we have an AI?
Oh my goodness, yes. This actually comes up all the time in the curriculum I'm helping
Mm.
to create for counseling and for social work and even for psychology. It's coming up actually in places where there's private practice, right, and everything else. And so yeah, it's definitely in the conversations a lot about how do these private practice places, how, like a clinic, how do they use AI, and
Mm-hmm.
they want to make sure that they're not violating HIPAA, which is big, right? You don't want to
Mm-hmm.
violate HIPAA, you don't want to violate FERPA if they're underage, under 18. So there's that. And if it's educational, coaching and things like that, you don't want to violate FERPA. So there's all those laws and everything like that. But there's that fine line of where, if you have say notes that you're taking in a coaching session and then you go to upload it to AI, well, you can't just go and upload private client information and things like that, and conversations that were said in in a setting that is supposed to be private. So that there's definitely ethical concerns about that. So I think that organizations and institutions are trying to grapple with that still. I don't know if you did some research on this, but yeah, that's at least what I've seen and what I've heard that's
Mm-hmm.
out on the field going on right now, is that they're trying to make sure that they stay ahead of it, because AI is not going anywhere. So
Yes,
yeah.
it will flourish for sure.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
So, Miss Jackie, listening beyond words, what the core skills every coach must master?
Yes, I think it's so important to, yeah, to really ask those open-ended questions. And yeah, listen beyond words and hear what the client is, not only what they're saying, but maybe even what they're not saying, right? What is their body language telling you, and what are the hidden meanings behind those things? So as you get better at a coach, you'll find out what those things are, and you'll start to pick up on those. And as you get to know your client more and continue to build that relationship with them as their coach, you'll start to uncover more of those. But I think one of the things I like most about coaching is that you're there to serve them, and you're able to build that relationship and help them, reach their goals, and whatever that is. So it's really neat to kind of see that happening. So I know coaches myself that do this for a living. So it's really exciting.
Hmm. People, when a coach listen beyond words, clients feel truly seen and understood. This builds trust or sharpens self awareness and strengthens accountability. And more importantly, it shifts coaching from advice giving to a transformation where clients discover their own clarity, align actions with values, and move forward with confidence and intention.
Yes.
And Miss Jackie, powerful questions that create breakthrough. We talk about listening, right? So what are the questions that create breakthrough as a coach?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I think it's a combination of open-ended questions, and I think active listening. So many times what we do as coaches is we want to make sure that we're actively listening to the individual, that our client, and we're not jumping ahead right to the next thing, but really taking that deep dive. So just asking them open-ended questions like, if they say something, how does that make you feel, or tell me more about that, right? So you're asking them those questions and then reflecting it back to them. So once you hear the client say something, then you can be able to reflect that back and say, okay, so I'm hearing you say such and such, is that correct? Or
Hmm.
do you want to expand upon that? So they know that you're involved in the conversation, and you're not just asking questions, but you're having that conversation with them, and then they know that you're truly listening as a coach, and actively listening. So I think it's a combination of that with open-ended questions and active listening that really are the key to that thriving relationship and helping the client move forward.
Hmm. Definitely. Effective coaching questions are open ended and concise and grounded in curiosity rather than a judgment. They focus on the present and the future, not on assigning blame or revisiting the past. Questions such as, what are you avoiding? Or what matters most right now? Or what would change if you fully own this decision? Encourage clients to comfort reality, honesty, and take responsibility for the choices. So when we use skillfully, powerful question create momentum. They prompt action, strengthen accountability, and help clients connect intention with behavior. So create that big questions. People, big questions.
Yes.
And Miss Jackie, how about, let's say, power goal setting that actually works in coaching? So what are your goal as a coach?
Yes, I think one of the things, and this works across different industries. So no matter who you're coaching, what they're career goals are, anything like that. Say you're doing career coaching, but any type of coaching, one thing that I always do is I talk about SMART goals. And
Hmm.
so the SMART is an acronym. So you have specific is the S, measurable is the M, attainable is the A, and then realistic is the R, and timely is the T. So what you can do is you can, set a realistic set of SMART goals with the client and say, okay, what's a realistic number that you want to set? Say 3 goals. For example, at work, we have to do our annual performance evaluation, and we're getting ready to. They're due on the 16th of January as of this recording. So I set my 3 goals, and I looked at last year's, because in the middle of the year we have to actually do so what we do in our self evaluation is we actually have a look back at the last year. Typically, some places don't do that. Like you said, it's about looking at the current and the future, but we have a look back and we look to see what do we accomplish over the last year, and then where are we at now and what do we want to do in the future. So it's past, present, future. So the goals are future oriented. So it's kind of interesting. So we write those 3 SMART goals, and then we go over them with our manager, and then our manager will actually look at them ahead of time, and we'll meet with so I meet with my manager on that, and then she goes over like, here's what I think you can focus on that fits with your goals. And so it's a partnership, right? So I almost think of my manager sometimes as that coach, and that person that's guiding me along the way. And then if I ever need anything throughout the year before that midpoint check-in, I can always reach out to her and say, hey, I'm struggling with this goal. How can you
Hmm.
help me kind of get past that if I'm running into a barrier or something like that with it, especially if I'm working with a group of people or someone else on that goal, because you always don't work on goals in isolation, especially in a job. So you're always working with other people. So if I run into a barrier, I can reach out to her and say, hey, I'm running into an issue. What kind of things can I do? It's not necessarily advice, but it's more of like, how can what are some things that you can kind of give me that can help me move forward in that, and just to help me break that barrier, right? So I think that really helps, and coaches do that too. So yeah, so I think that's one thing, is creating those SMART goals. I think that really helps people because they're not abstract, and they have that SMART goal format. So I would suggest that is helping clients create those as well.
Hmm. Yes. People effective goal setting is coaching goes beyond writing aspirations on paper. It creates a clear bridge between intention and action. Goals that works are rooted in clients' values, not external pressure or a vague ambition. When goal affects what truly matters to the client, commitment becomes intrinsic and progress is more sustainable over time. And successful coaching goals are specific enough guide to behavior yet flexible enough to adopt inside grows. So, Miss Jackie, to wrap up our discussion for today,
Yes.
measuring progress without killing motivation.
Oh,
How is
that's I love
that?
it. Mhm.
Yes. How, without killing the motivation, how would you measure the progress of your coaching? Is it hard? Right?
Yeah, sometimes it can be, but I think with that SMART goal format, I think it's easy. It's a little bit more realistic to do that, because then what you can do is you can have what I like to call mile markers. So you can say after uh, whatever you decide as a coach you want to set. So you can say after 30 days that we set the goals together, let's take a look and see where you're at. You do a check-in with them, right? And then maybe do another one after 60 or 90 days, depending upon you kind of take that plan and you work with the client on that. So I think it shouldn't be something that only the coach does, but it's something you work with the client on, and you say what's something realistic that you think you would like to do, and keep that accountability going between the coach and the client, right? So it's like you said, it's not punishment, it's not giving them, like, oh, you didn't do that, too bad, so sad type of thing. But
Mm-hmm.
it's more of like, okay, so if they don't that accountability check. If they didn't do anything, then you say, okay, let's look at that and see, why you didn't do anything in that 30 days. What can I do as your coach to give you some tips or some tools to help you in the maybe next 30 days or something like that. So I think it's not like yeah, it's not punishing, but it's more of just helping them to get towards that. And then over the course of a year, they can reach those goals that they set for themselves, and then they become more sustainable down the road. So they have that coach that guides them along, and then maybe a year or so they're ready to do a little bit on their own and not have to have the coach there. So I think it's like they say the training wheels come off, right? So you start with the training wheels, and then slowly but surely the training wheels come off, and then they're more independent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, people. So measuring progress in a coaching should energize growth, not drain motivation. When progress is framed as evaluation or judgment, clients often become discouraged or overly self-critical. Effective coaching reframes measurement as a feedback, useful information that highlights learning, direction, and adjustment rather than success or failure. So, Miss Jackie, what a great episode for our Coaching 101. What is coaching and what is not? I hope we delivered the right message, correct message, and I hope we empower you, guide you, or what this topic is all about.
Yes.
So, Miss Jackie, would you like to plug in something?
Sure. If anybody wants to connect with me, they can go to LinkedIn. I'm there all the time, and I'd be happy to connect with them professionally. And they can also go to Buy Me a Coffee if they want to support my work and what I do. And they can check me out on Designing with Love blog and listen to my podcast as well.
Yes, people, listen, support Miss Jackie Pellegrini as well. Our Bible verses 101 coming after this. And to wrap up our discussion for today, effective coaching is built on intention, not intensity. When progress is measured with care, goals remain motivation rather than burdensome, and growth stays sustainable over time. So, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Modicon people, see you soon.